See, these Belizean meat pies is an amazing example of why you should try foods from other cuisines. It's still similar. It's still something that I would have had anyways because this meat pie, it cannot be bad. But I would have never had it if it wasn't for this collab, if I wasn't open to trying different cuisines. These pies changed my life. The meat mixture, the filling, changed my life. Recado, which I just found out about, changed my life. And these pies will change your life because it's great for an amazing breakfast, mini pie style, or you can make it in a half moon kind of shape, like almost a calzone type shape, and you can have it for an entire meal. I'm so excited to share these Belizean meat pies, and these meat pies actually is rooted in the colonial history of Belize, and it's the influence of British cuisine, I know, right? That combined with the local traditions, and you have this meat that's beautifully flavored with recado, which is a spice made of annatto seeds and garlic among other spices, and lots of black pepper. And it's filled in a flaky crust, pie crust. So let's first get into that pie crust, and for that we have some flour, some baking powder that's already in there, add in some salt, and then add in some shortening in there. You can use room temperature butter as well. Now the key here is to, with your hands or with a dough scraper, you can just like mix it until the flour resembles breadcrumbs, because it's gonna mix with the fat and will have a nice crumbly texture, kind of like this. And only then do you add some cold water, and you add a very tiny bit and just bring the dough together until it just comes together, and there's no need to work the gluten. Just form it into a ball, wrap it up, and put it in the fridge. You want this to chill for about 30 or so minutes. Now let's look at recado. And the biggest thing that makes a recado is the achiote seeds or the annatto seeds. I got it pretty easily on Amazon, so I hope that you can as well, because without that, it's just like a regular meat pie. It's not Belizean, really. And the idea is to make a nice ground mixture of all these spices. Some of them already ground, some of them are whole. And while you can attempt to do it by hand, I would recommend you use a spice grinder, or in my case, a Vitamix, because I don't have a spice grinder. And the Vitamix does a really good job in processing those super hard annatto seeds. This is what it's going to look like. Put it in a bowl or your mortar, and then add in garlic, which I've minced, along with a bit of water, or you can just add a bit of white wine vinegar. You want this to now kind of come together, get a little moist, and form a thick paste. This is perfect, and this is the secret to the perfect Belizean meat pies. Let's go make the actual meat now. So pan is hot, add a touch of olive oil, and then add in your chopped onions and peppers. Now, if you can find Scotch bonnet peppers, add that in here as well. I couldn't find it for some reason. Usually I always see it when I need it. It's not there. So I'm using Thai chilies for some heat. And then add in garlic. And once it has softened, it is fragrant, then add in your meat. You want to keep breaking it down until it's mostly all browned. And when it is almost all browned, let's start by adding in the dried spices. Then you can add in a nice, generous portion of the recado paste we made earlier. And it's gonna be really fragrant. It's gonna start to cook out. And then the beef here is actually lean, not extra lean, so it's gonna release its own fat as well. Now you can drain it out at this point, but I just like to cook it until the very end, and then just kind of blot the extra fat at the end before we fill the actual filling in the pastry. You want to make sure you season at every step and keep tasting as much as you can. And once the spices have become fragrant, the rawness has cooked out, then you can add in your tomato paste. Let that cook out a bit and then mix it all in. And then, well, you can use chicken broth. I'm gonna use Better Than Bouillon paste, and that is so tasty. And using bouillon instead of actual chicken stock and then boiling it down, thickening it, it just adds the same amount of flavor, if not better flavor. And then you don't have to like do the extra step of thickening it using corn flour or cornstarch and just wasting a bunch of time. This works. And then once the bouillon has cooked a little bit, add a bit of water, create a really thick gravy, and then just let this gently cook. Taste it and adjust for your preference. Just talking, my mouth is watering right now because this is truly incredible. The flavors I've never tasted before, and I will be making this off camera a lot more than you think. Okay, so that's all ready. As promised, I'm getting rid of the extra fat. Not only is it not great for you, you don't need it. It has done its job. It is full of flavor, and just all that fat will just make the pastry wet. We want to protect the pastry and just have a nice flavorful portion of meat in there. Now this video is part of the hashtag FryJax collaboration that's celebrating Belizean cuisines. So make sure if you want to see more of the Belizean delicacies, you check out that hashtag, and let's continue. Talking about that, dust your work surface with a touch of flour and then plop your pie dough right on top. Then with a rolling pin, start flattening it out. You want to go for about an eighth or sixth of an inch thickness. Now, if you are not doing the half moon shape, where you just like have a circle, you fill on one side, then just seal, crimple the edges. If you're not doing that, then this is just a much more elegant way of having the same dish, and it actually is much more convenient if you want to have nice portions ready for you for breakfast, because this is a very popular Belizean breakfast meal and I love that. So what you want to do is have a muffin pan and then cut a circle using an actual mold like this, or with a glass or something, right? You may have to like roll it out because you need that first circle that's going to form the outside, the base of the crust, to be bigger than the circle of the actual muffin mold. So put that in there, make sure that it's fitting well. It should touch the bottom and it should have enough dough left over to like go up the sides. Then you want to start filling these portions. You want it to be a bit smaller than the actual mouth of the mold for the muffin tray. So maybe use like a smaller glass and cut another circle and then place it on the top. Lightly tap it, make sure it's nicely sealed, and before we actually go ahead and bake it, we'll just poke some holes so that the steam can escape and we don't have a mushy kind of crust. And before you put it in the oven, just make sure you prepare an egg wash. It's just one egg, or a teaspoon of water. You whisk it really well and then use a pastry brush and lightly brush the tops and the edges of the pastry. These go in an oven in convection mode at 375 Fahrenheit. And for me, it took about 22 to 23 minutes. I did rotate the pan halfway through the cooking time to make sure it cooks evenly. And you can see that the egg wash on the top has given it a nice golden brown color and a shine that you will not get without the egg wash. So that's why, even though it's optional, it is recommended. Now, I did make these late at night. I know it's popular for breakfast, but the smell was so good. I did taste it on camera, as you can see here, but I just couldn't put it away. At this point, I had already had my dinner. This was late at night, and I'm like, I'm gonna put it away, but I could never do it because I just kept going back for one more meat pie. You will as well, because these are out of this world. Make sure you check out the other Belizean delicacies. I for sure will be exploring them, and I'll see you all on the next one.